Okay. And now let's take a look at how we can set up a global Axios instance. And what that means is that we can add some kind of functionality by default. So every time we'll make a request with Axios instance, that functionality will be added. Now, in the README, you'll find quite a few options, but in our example, we'll just use the first one where we'll add the accept header and we'll set it equal to application JSON. And again, the idea is that every request, which is going to leave our application, by default, will have that accept header. And we'll also, in the next video, take a look at the downside and how we can fix that using the custom instance. And in there, we'll cover the base URL, which again, you can also set it up on the global one as well. And our starting point is going to be following, where we want to navigate to app.js. We want to change it around. In this case, it's going to be file number 4. And in here, we have two URLs. One is to my server, and the other one is actually going to a different server. It's going to random user URL, because again, there are some downsides if we use this global approach, and I definitely want to showcase them. So we have this file and we want to set up straight up get request with product URL. However, we want to add that functionality, the accept header, to our default global Axios instance. So first, let's create a file. So in the source, I'll create a new folder. I'll call this Axios. Let's create a file here. Let's say global.js. And here we want to import Axios from Axios. Then let's set up that header. So Axios defaults, then headers, then dot common. And we're looking for the accept one. So accept header. And we want to set it equal to application, then / and JSON. Let's save it. Now we want to import this file in the app.js or index.js, basically, when our application spins up. So let's say here import. Now we're looking not for the Axios library, we're looking for Axios folder and then global.js. And now if we go to global instance, and if we just import Axios from Axios, again, this does not change as long as we have invoked that file. And as a quick side note, if we just import, we automatically invoke that file. So this logic will be set up right away. If in the global instance, we import this Axios, and if we set up the request, you'll see something interesting in the DevTools. So let me go here where I have the global instance. Let's right away set up the try and catch. I'm going to go with response 1. Since there's going to be 2 of them, we want to go with await Axios and product URL. So now I'm going to navigate the big screen because it's going to be easier to showcase. So I have in the console nothing since I'm not logging. Technically, we can log, of course, just so we can see that everything works. So let's go with response 1. And we're going to get back the data. Now, that is not the important part. The important part is if we navigate to a network tab, and more specifically, if we take a look at this React store product, what you'll notice in the request header is this accept one. So any request you'll set up, you'll have this accept header added because we did set up that global instance. And again, you have tons of things that you can set it up over here, but we're only gonna cover the first one, and the second one we'll cover with the custom instance. And let me right away showcase the downside. So let me go back to the global instance, and now let's set up second response. So let's copy and paste. Let's say here response 2. Now it's going to be product URL. It's going to be a random user URL. And keep in mind that these are 2 different servers. So one is my server, which maybe for some reason is looking for that header. And we have totally different server. And in the console, we will see still the response one. Again, that is not the important part. The important part is if we again take a look at the network tab, now we'll have two requests. So one is going to be to my server, React store products, and the second one will be to the random user API. But for both of them, if we'll take a look at the request headers, we will see this accept and application JSON, which in this case, you can make an argument is not a big deal, but we need to keep in mind that if we have something sensitive, like for example, JSON web token, we don't want to start just sending left and right. And this is something that we'll fix with a custom instance.